Zodiac Place Preferences, Part 1 Aries. Let's dive into how Aries, the fiery initiator of the zodiac, connects to different environments, not just in terms of action or career, but something far more intimate. Where do Aries people feel like themselves? What kinds of places bring out their natural instincts, their confidence, and their comfort in being who they are? And how does this change depending on which planets occupy Aries in their chart? Aries at its core is associated with bold, high-energy, forward-moving spaces. Places like military zones, police camps, cantonments, adult sports playgrounds, racetracks, rooftop gyms, newly constructed sites, or sunlit terraces all resonate with this Mars-ruled sign. These are not soft or passive environments. They invite assertion, motion, risk, and heat, exactly the qualities that Aries thrives on. For someone with Aries strongly placed, especially rising, just being in such places can feel grounding. It's where they don't have to tone themselves down. They can be impulsive, passionate, and present. Now consider how the comfort level shifts when different planets are placed in Aries. A person with the moon in Aries may feel emotionally at home in places that have movement and charge, like a busy kitchen, a bustling home with quick turnover of guests, or even a household that's slightly chaotic. Stillness can feel stagnating. They might feel most settled in homes that are close to action, near stadiums, active neighborhoods, or where quick access to errands, fitness, or people is possible. Emotional rest for them comes from engagement, not withdrawal. On the other hand, someone with Venus in Aries feels most like themselves in spaces that are energized, but also stylish and attention-catching. They're drawn to places that have bold aesthetics, brightly painted walls, fitness studios with music and mirrors, or even luxurious but sporty resort spaces. They find comfort in being admired in motion, so a boutique inside a sports club or a hot yoga room with mood lighting might feel more them than a traditional spa. With Mercury in Aries, mental stimulation and quick expression define comfort. These individuals tend to relax in places where thoughts and conversations can happen spontaneously, like informal cafes, friends' homes with active kids around, or co-living spaces where ideas and laughter are always circulating. Their nervous system relaxes not in silence, but in the buzz of movement and immediate interaction. A quiet, padded room would make them feel caged. A cafe on a main road feels like home. If Saturn is in Aries, the comfort becomes more complex. Saturn tends to withhold and restrict, and in fiery Aries, it can make the person feel like they can't fully express themselves, unless the environment gives them permission to slowly warm up. These individuals often feel safe in disciplined Aries-type environments, structured sports programs, organized boot camps, clean and orderly training grounds. They might not like chaos, but still dislike dullness. For them, places that offer controlled fire feel just right. When Jupiter occupies Aries, the person feels expansive and alive in bold, active places, so long as they carry a sense of growth. They may feel at home in environments that are high energy and purpose-driven, like a martial arts retreat center or a bustling but ethical leadership training venue. Comfort doesn't come from softness, but from knowing that this fire is going somewhere meaningful. Lastly, with Ketu in Aries, a person may unconsciously avoid or feel disassociated from Aries-style environments, even though they may be oddly drawn to them. They might feel both safe and restless in places that are loud or fast-moving. A part of them feels, I've been here before, but they may also crave detachment. Their comfort often lies in observing such spaces rather than participating fully, so they might sit near the edge of the playground, feeling content in the energy, but not in the middle of it. So while Aries places are bold and energizing by default, how a person feels in them, comfortable, overwhelmed, inspired, restless, depends deeply on the planets that activate Aries in their chart. These placements don't change the Aries signature, but they modulate how we live it. Some thrive in the center of the battlefield, others feel more at ease watching from the edge. But either way, it's Aries terrain. Let's now bring in the idea of planetary conjunctions in Aries and how they shape the kind of environments someone might feel most natural, at ease, or authentic in, not from a professional standpoint, but from a comfort and identity perspective. Aries sets the stage with its bold, forward-moving essence, but when two or more planets combine here, the type of Aries space one seeks becomes more nuanced. Start with Moon Mars in Aries. This conjunction can feel like a storm of instinct and action. People with this placement often feel emotionally grounded when they're in places where they can move freely and release built-up energy. They don't relax in quiet homes. They unwind by doing. A home with open space, home gym equipment, or even a punching bag in the corner feels more like a sanctuary than a silent meditation room. They feel calm when motion is allowed. So even chaotic environments like a children's playground, a kitchen during lunch rush, or a busy hostel can feel emotionally right. With Venus Mars in Aries, comfort lies in sensual action. These individuals feel best in places where attraction and vitality mix, stylish but alive. Picture open-air fitness cafes, trendy rooftop bars with dance floors, or boutique gyms with curated playlists. There's something about being in an environment where movement is beautiful and beauty moves that gives them a sense of belonging. They're the type to light a candle and do squats. They don't separate love, energy, or beauty. Now imagine Sun Mercury in Aries. These people feel most themselves in places where they can speak, lead, and joke all at once. Their version of comfort might be a loud debate over dinner, a quick-witted conversation during a run, or brainstorming while hiking. Environments like rehearsal halls, improv spaces, open classrooms, or even heated family discussions around kitchen islands are familiar and energizing. Stillness can feel suffocating. They need fire and feedback. Saturn Moon in Aries, however, creates a push-pull in emotional comfort. One part of them wants motion and response, the other fears it or needs to structure it. These individuals often feel most comfortable in controlled or supervised Aries spaces, like guided adventure retreats, spiritual boot camps, or homes where routine and activity coexist, e.g., morning jogs followed by journaling. They may not enjoy chaos, but they do enjoy earned energy. They feel at home when they've worked for the calm. With Jupiter Mars in Aries, there's a deeply instinctive need to feel noble and inspired while acting. These people feel grounded in active environments that also serve a purpose, like leading a team-building trek, volunteering at a disaster site, or engaging in youth mentorship through sports. Places that are both active and meaningful, that combine action with principle, feel like an extension of themselves. A more introspective combination, like Mercury Ketu in Aries, may find comfort in spaces where they can be mentally agile but detached from expectation. These people love the energy of a crowd, but don't want to be bound by it. They feel most themselves in observation decks, cafes on the fringe of busy streets, coding in noisy coffee shops, or walking fast through urban markets with headphones on, engaged but not entangled. As a general suggestion, when multiple planets come together in Aries, especially in the first or fourth house, it's valuable to create or seek out environments that move but don't overwhelm, that allow quick expression but provide physical anchors. Things like indoor plants in bold ceramic pots, active walking routes near home, access to open terraces, or music with strong beats in otherwise sparse spaces can give just enough fire without the burnout. In short, Aries doesn't rest by slowing down. It rests by expressing. And conjunctions don't cancel that, they choreograph it. The planets you carry into Aries decide whether you find comfort on the battlefield, in the boxing ring, on the dance floor, or in a sunlit kitchen that smells like espresso and ambition. Let's explore some unorthodox or less commonly discussed planetary conjunctions in Aries, especially how they influence a person's feeling of ease or naturalness in environments, not through textbook traits, but through lived experience and felt atmosphere. These combinations often lead to unexpected comfort zones, places that may look chaotic or contradictory on the outside, but internally feel just right to the person. Mars Ketu in Aries. This pairing is like a warrior who's been through too many battles. There's a deeply ingrained instinct to act, but without attachment or clear reason. People with this conjunction might feel comfortable in stripped-down, raw spaces where they can move freely without explanation. A rooftop at dawn, an abandoned lot turned training ground, a silent long-distance running trail, or even places with echoes, underground tunnels, old gyms, or dry riverbeds. The less stimulation and human involvement, the more they feel alive. Their comfort zone is in solitary action. No spectators, no validation, just breath and motion. Here, the emotional body craves high-octane environments that should be uncomfortable, but aren't. These people might find emotional familiarity in places like night markets, chaotic kitchens, backstage at concerts, or inside emergency wards. Their nervous system finds a strange safety in the charge of unpredictability. Even a traffic jam in a bustling city can feel oddly grounding. Their inner rhythm syncs with the outer chaos, especially when something is being pushed forward or rising toward tension. Saturn, Rahu, and Aries. A fascinating contradiction. Control meets hunger for the unknown. These individuals tend to feel grounded in strange, pressured, yet organized environments. Think of an underground hacker workspace, a sealed forensic lab, or the project room in a disaster management office. These places carry both suppression and eruption. They're also drawn to sites that carry hidden heat, like inactive volcanoes, unfinished construction zones, or historical battlefields now silent. Their sense of calm emerges in places that have survived intensity. Venus, Ketu, and Aries. This pairing often manifests in people who feel emotionally at peace in stripped-down, minimalist spaces where beauty is raw, unexpected, or even wounded. They may avoid conventional luxury but find comfort in antique fight rings, scorched art studios, dusty dance practice spaces, or rooms filled with only light and shadow. Sensory simplicity matters. They may feel most themselves, barefoot on heated tiles, or sipping tea alone in a sun-drenched undecorated balcony after an intense day. The comfort here is in austerity with edge. Sun, Saturn, and Aries. These individuals often carry tension between wanting to shine and fearing exposure. As a result, they may feel most comfortable in positions of indirect power, behind-the-scenes control rooms, private rehearsal spaces, or quiet command posts. They don't relax in loud environments, but neither do they feel at ease in passivity. Ideal zones might include architect offices late at night, restricted military archives, or mountaintop structures where strategy is forged. Places that represent silent authority and earned discipline soothe them. Jupiter, Ketu, and Aries. Here we find the wanderer who feels most comfortable in liminal or transitional environments. Airports at night, border checkpoints, rural temples during festival cleanup, or libraries with no one inside. These are people whose natural rhythm aligns with the unknown, with forward motion that has spiritual undertones. They're soothed by the moment just before something happens, or the place where something just ended. Their Aries fire is inward, sacred, and quiet. Comfort comes through movement toward meaning, not noise. These less discussed combinations show us that not all Aries comfort zones are loud, red, or combative. Sometimes Aries expresses itself in burnt edges, soft adrenaline, or half-lit tension. The deeper truth is this: Aries isn't just a warrior, it's the flame that seeks what's next. And the places that honor that search, whether active, ancient, empty, or electric, are where these people quietly come alive. Zodiac Place Preferences Part 5. Now let's step into Leo, the radiant, expressive, dignified sign ruled by the sun. Leo doesn't just occupy space, it animates it. And when we talk about Leo's place preferences, we're not just talking about grandeur or visibility. We're talking about environments that allow the Leo soul to feel recognized, creative, and most of all, warmly alive. Whether through presence, performance, or simple self-assurance, Leo feels most at home in spaces where the spirit doesn't have to dim down. At its heart, Leo gravitates to places where there's light, heart, and space to shine or inspire. Traditionally associated with high places, mountains, palaces, thrones, theaters, and regal halls, Leo prefers environments that elevate. In modern terms, this translates to brightly lit living rooms, performance venues, galleries, celebration spaces, art-filled offices, government halls, or even children's playrooms filled with laughter and color. Leo doesn't always need an audience, but it does need a place that feels like it could host one. Someone with the moon in Leo feels emotionally comforted in environments where they are seen, appreciated, or emotionally celebrated. That doesn't always mean being the loudest in the room. It can also be about symbolic warmth. A home with framed photos of their achievements, a bookshelf of their favorite quotes, a corner where their creative work lives. Even a quiet dinner table where they are asked about their day can feel deeply anchoring. Emotional safety for them comes from acknowledgement. With Venus in Leo, comfort lies in artful self-expression and warm luxury. They feel soothed in places that allow them to both impress and relax. Boutique salons, boho art cafes, velvet-laden sitting rooms, or stylish living areas filled with gold accents, mood lighting, and objects that catch the eye. Their ideal comfort zones offer both sensuality and spotlight, places where beauty and boldness blend and where they can host, flirt, or create without apology. Mercury in Leo feels mentally at ease in spaces that elevate their voice or ideas. These are the people who relax in well-lit study rooms, debate forums, or writing spaces where they can hear themselves think and then say it out loud. A personal recording studio, a window desk with a sunbeam, or a home office filled with motivational quotes in color. These are the kinds of places that keep their inner spark alive. They think best when they feel brilliant, not just efficient. Mars in Leo finds physical comfort in spaces where motion is bold and purposeful. Not chaos, but intentional action. A private dance studio, a leadership retreat with active workshops, a boxing gym with spotlighted rings, or a rehearsal hall where they can warm up in front of mirrors. They are at ease in environments that make action feel heroic. Even their home workouts may feel more empowering if they're surrounded by music, lighting, and a mirror that says, yes, you are the main character. Jupiter in Leo is soothed by grand, generous, and uplifting environments. They're the ones who feel most themselves in mentorship centers, motivational retreats, libraries with classical design, or homes where people gather for storytelling and celebration. Their comfort comes from environments that blend spirit and drama. High ceilings, noble themes, gold-trimmed decor, and bookshelves about greatness. They rest where vision and inspiration hang in the air like sunlight. Saturn in Leo brings a quiet need for dignity and containment. These people feel safest in environments that offer respect, even in silence. An old reading chair by a bay window, a museum lobby with marble floors, or a home with framed ancestry and well-kept rituals. They may not demand attention, but they need to feel they matter. Their comfort zones reflect earned pride, spaces that carry legacy, patience, and controlled radiance. Rahu in Leo can create a craving for drama and visibility. These individuals often feel most alive and oddly soothed in spaces where something grand or staged is happening. A theater backstage, a political campaign room, a press conference lounge. Even their living spaces may be bold, excessive, or filled with symbols of success. They find strange comfort in environments that mirror their desire to be larger than life. A mirror-lit vanity, a home altar of trophies, or a rooftop bar with a view can all feel safe to them. Ketu in Leo withdraws from the need to perform. These individuals feel most at home in spaces where quiet dignity replaces applause. A temple with sunlight filtering through stained glass, a children's art room where they quietly mentor, or a forest glade where light dances but no one watches. They may avoid flash, but still want soul. Their comfort comes from knowing they shine without needing to prove it. Places where joy is natural, not theatrical, like a sunbeam on stone or a child's drawing on a fridge, are where they breathe most freely. For Leo, comfort is never purely functional. It must feed the heart, whether through celebration, creativity, legacy, or silent gold. Leo feels at home where there's warmth, story, and room to shine. It isn't about ego, it's about recognition of soul. A child's room with paint-splattered walls, a stage after everyone has clapped, a dinner table where they can raise a toast. These are Leo places, not because they're loud, but because they're lit from within. Now let's explore how planetary conjunctions in Leo shape a person's sense of comfort and identity within physical environments. Leo, ruled by the sun, seeks places that affirm the self, places that mirror inner fire, creativity, and personal warmth. But when planets combine in Leo, that solar light gets filtered, sometimes intensified, sometimes softened, sometimes distorted. These conjunctions reveal the texture of comfort, what kind of stage the Leo soul chooses, whether public or private, bold or quiet, celebrated or remembered. Sun, Moon, and Leo. This is the alignment of outer identity and inner emotional world. These individuals feel most comfortable in spaces where the outer world reflects their inner significance. A living room filled with their childhood photos, a stage with their name on the schedule, or even a dressing area with monogrammed robes. These are the kinds of places that soothe them. Their ideal comfort space honors the whole self. They relax most deeply where their story is visible, not hidden. Venus, Mars, and Leo. Desire and drive meet in theatrical style. These people feel grounded and safe in playfully passionate environments. Think boudoirs with velvet drapes, rehearsal studios with dramatic lighting, or kitchens where romantic meals are cooked with music and laughter. They need to move and love with flair. Even at rest, they prefer spaces that feel expressive. Statement art, scented candles, bold textures. Their body and heart relax when passion is not only allowed, but celebrated. Mercury, Venus, and Leo. This is poetic charm incarnate. These individuals are most at ease in spaces that allow beautiful expression. Writing desks with gold pens, salons with books and art, or music-filled patios where conversation flows. Their comfort comes from being able to share, speak, and decorate their environment with style and story. Their living spaces are often filled with curated objects that tell tales, souvenirs from performances, handwritten letters, favorite lyrics framed. Aesthetics must have personality. Moon, Mars, in Leo. This is the emotional protector, the person who defends their joy. They feel most grounded in active, emotionally charged environments. Family game nights with drama, dance rooms with mirrors and heat, or kitchens where they cook to music when they're angry. These individuals often design homes that are meant for both action and love. Their comfort isn't in stillness, it's in vitality. A bold-colored yoga room, a kid's play space with chaos and color, or a pet-filled backyard are places where they come alive and rest without walls. Sun, Saturn, in Leo. The king who carries weight. These individuals need dignity, but also structure. They find comfort in solemn, noble environments. Ancestral homes with stories, well-maintained shrines, libraries with legacy. They don't need glitz, but they do need respect. A home with old wood and clean design. A room where a single ray of light falls on a desk. Their nervous system settles when they feel like their presence is earned and known. Their safe spaces are never too casual. They reflect the history they feel within themselves. Sun, Ketu, in Leo. This is radiant detachment. These people often retreat from performance, but still need soul presence. They may feel most comfortable in sunlit solitude, a prayer alcove, a writing corner by the window, or a studio where no one enters but them. They seek creative space without audience. A home where they can create without commentary, shine without stage lights. Their comfort comes from self-expression without expectation, where the sun burns quietly but steadily. Moon, Rahu, in Leo. Here, the emotional body craves applause, sometimes too much. These individuals may feel safe in socially energized spaces, party lounges, award ceremonies, drama clubs, or influencer hangouts, yet often find comfort only in the performance, not after. They need to be emotionally lit up. A living room with mood lighting and a karaoke machine may feel more grounding than a meditation room, but too much quiet may feel like invisibility. Their peace comes when they can feel emotionally admired, even in small ways. Mercury, Mars, and Leo. Here's the speech warrior. These individuals relax in vocal, performative spaces, debate stages, rehearsal halls, podcast studios, or cafes where they can talk with flair. Their comfort zone is wherever they can express ideas with drama. They feel safe in environments where their words matter and where boldness is not only accepted, but encouraged. Their desks have quotes on the walls. Their favorite rooms echo with laughter or oration. Even rest comes with narration. Venus, Saturn, and Leo. Here, beauty is formal, love is earned. These individuals feel at ease in classic, refined environments, theater lobbies with chandeliers, home offices with velvet chairs and framed poetry, or old-world salons with silence and wine. They don't trust cheap beauty. Their nervous system rests in grace with weight. A handmade jewelry box, a well-maintained antique piano, or a bedroom where curtains fall like royal robes, these spaces offer quiet, prestigious comfort. They don't relax where they can sprawl. They relax where they can sit with poise. Sun, Rahu, in Leo, the spotlight seeker with a hunger. These people often feel most at home in center stage environments, press rooms, award shows, live stream setups, or family events where they are the focus. Yet this doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes they are comfortable in chaos, in high energy, in the rush of being important. Their homes might resemble backstage prep zones, mirrors, wardrobes, lighting gear, trophies. Their sense of rest comes from being seen, but the challenge is learning how to rest when no one's watching. What Leo wants from space is not just attention, it's affirmation. These conjunctions show us that Leo doesn't always need applause. Sometimes it needs reverence, sometimes joy, sometimes creative solitude. But always, it wants a space where the inner fire is welcomed, where a person can walk into a room and know, this space was made for someone like me. Whether through framed achievements, quiet thrones, bold textiles, or warm laughter, Leo rests best where the light is personal, and the space lets them burn bright, proud, and whole. Here are some unorthodox or rarely discussed planetary conjunctions in Leo, focusing entirely on how they shape a person's comfort zones and sense of belonging in the spaces around them. With Leo, the core need is for dignity, emotional warmth, and identity affirmation. But these lesser-known combinations show us how even that need for solar expression can twist toward quiet legacy, ego shedding, sacred artistry, or private symbolism, each in its own way. Ketu Venus in Leo. This combination often withdraws from obvious pleasure or validation, yet craves quiet beauty that feels earned. These individuals feel comfort in lonely but noble spaces. A dressing room after the show, an empty gallery, or a sunlit room filled with costumes no longer worn. They may love dramatic objects that are no longer active, faded playbills, an old piano, a silk robe in storage. Their soul rests in places where beauty was once celebrated, but is now left gently to itself. They are soothed by abandoned theaters, overgrown gardens once made for parties, or ancestral altars with fading gold. Sun. The self detaches from performance. These people don't reject recognition, but find deeper peace when they don't have to prove themselves. They may feel most at home in sunlit solitude, a mountaintop shrine, a rooftop terrace with plants, a well-worn leather chair, and a personal reading nook. These are the people who light candles for their ancestors, or paint in secret. They relax where self-expression exists without audience. Their ideal space is one where they shine without anyone clapping, like the last beam of golden light before dusk. Mercury Ketu in Leo. Here, thought retreats from pride. These individuals often find comfort in symbolic, expressive, but quiet spaces. A poetry notebook by the window, a hand-drawn comic they never share, or a place where they write stories no one will read. They love narrative environments, old libraries, dusty costume shops, or childhood bedrooms that still hold their secret scripts. Their comfort is in knowing they could speak, but choosing to whisper. They may find rest in places filled with relics, personal metaphors, and subtle echoes of what was once declared loudly. Mars Ketu in Leo, the warrior who steps off the stage. These individuals feel uneasy in competitive or performance-heavy environments, but they find comfort in discipline behind the scenes, martial arts dojos during cleanup, actors' warm-up rooms, empty rehearsal halls. They relax when action has purpose but no spectacle. A gym at sunrise, a personal altar with handwritten vows. They are soothed by solitary movement. They're the ones who run lines alone backstage or lift weights with headphones and zero selfies. Saturn Ketu in Leo, legacy without attachment. These people often feel comfort in quiet, sacred responsibility, restoring forgotten gravestones, curating old family photographs, or keeping track of ceremonies in silence. They rest in environments where they hold history without demanding praise. A museum basement, a monk's cell, a sunlit room where a single candle burns for the lineage. They may decorate with items no one else notices, a great-grandparent's pen, a statue of a lion not dusted for years. Their comfort is in holding. The weight of tradition becomes their quiet throne. This pairing craves visibility, but may feel comfort in artificial or exaggerated spaces of self-expression. A green room full of wigs and masks, a video game room with avatars, a cosplay studio, a selfie-ready mirror wall. These individuals rest in environments that let them try on different selves without commitment. The more dramatic the space, the safer they feel, because exaggeration becomes protection. Their home might have lights, velvet, costume jewelry, and no apology. Comfort, for them, comes from overperformance that isn't taken too seriously. Moon Rahu in Leo. Emotions crave emotional spotlight. These people may feel soothed in hyper-personal, hyper-themed spaces, a child's room turned into a jungle, a family room with 12 gold-framed portraits, or a home shrine with LED backlights. They are comforted by spaces that overconfirm their importance, a chair no one else can sit in, a blanket with their name on it. They thrive emotionally in places where their feeling life becomes visible. Even an old diary with stickers might be more grounding than a therapist's office. Venus, Rahu, and Leo. This pairing finds rest in fantasy luxury or social theater. They may relax in high-concept salons, immersive art rooms, or home spaces with dramatic lighting, fashion racks, and perfumes arranged by mood. Their emotional system settles in environments where identity is staged beautifully. They might feel at ease in photo shoot sets, fashion showrooms, or luxury dressing rooms, even if they're alone. A bedroom styled like a royal suite or a bathroom lit like a film set is not too much. It's home. Jupiter, Ketu, and Leo. Here, the inner teacher walks off the platform. These individuals often feel comfort in spiritual, majestic silence. Empty temples with high ceilings, old-school auditoriums with dusty podiums, or quiet homes where inspiration lives without show. They find peace in places that once carried greatness, now humbled. A hall once used for lectures, now echoing only wind. A chalkboard where nothing has been written for years. Their safe space is sacred, symbolic, and free from needing to inspire. They rest in the echo of light, not the spotlight itself. These Leo combinations show us that comfort for the lion is not always in the roar. Sometimes it's in the aftermath of performance. Sometimes it's in the ruins of grandeur. Sometimes it's in the poetry behind the throne, or the costumes no longer worn. For Leo, true rest doesn't come from applause, but from a space where their story, their dignity, and their fire are allowed to sit quietly, still glowing, still royal, and completely at ease. Zodiac Place Preferences Part 9, Sagittarius. Now we journey into Sagittarius, the sign of exploration, philosophy, spiritual optimism, and truth-seeking fire. Ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius isn't content with stillness or containment for long. But its sense of comfort doesn't come from freedom alone. It comes from possibility, perspective, and inspired expansiveness. Sagittarius feels most at home in places that feel open, intelligent, and infused with movement or meaning. It's less about luxury or privacy, and more about the feeling of forward momentum toward wisdom, new horizons, or personal growth. Sagittarius gravitates to environments that are wide, bright, elevated, or educational. Traditionally associated with temples, mountaintops, universities, open plains, and pilgrimage routes, the modern Sagittarius finds ease in airports, bookstores, hostels, co-living retreats, vans converted for cross-country travel, spiritual centers, rooftop cafes, and places where they can overhear conversations in 3 languages. For them, comfort is tied to movement of thought and body. They don't settle in static comfort. They settle in meaningful expansion. Someone with the moon in Sagittarius feels most emotionally safe in light-filled, mentally or spiritually stimulating spaces. A corner with a view of the horizon, a reading nook filled with global travel books, a bright breakfast table with philosophical debate over coffee. Their nervous system calms in space plus story. Too much stillness feels like stagnation. Even their bedroom may include maps, open suitcases, or symbols from many cultures. They feel held by rooms that whisper, you could leave at any time and come back with stories. Venus in Sagittarius finds peace in aesthetic freedom with cultural depth. They feel comforted in places that blend sensuality with curiosity. Bohemian patios, desert villas, caravan cafes, hostels with prayer flags. Their spaces are often filled with textures, talismans, foreign art, books on mythology, and scented cushions that carry a trace of spice and sun. Their rest doesn't require silence. It requires meaning, warmth, and a window to the outside world. Their bedroom might have incense and altar and a hammock all within reach. Mercury in Sagittarius is soothed by open-ended intellectual space. These individuals feel most like themselves in classrooms that encourage challenge, libraries with skylights, outdoor cafes where they can write or converse without rules. Their ideal rest space includes a mix of input and inspiration, a whiteboard, a sketch pad, a philosophical podcast playing in the background. Too much visual restraint or tidiness can agitate them. They rest where thought can roam freely, even chaotically, as long as it's going somewhere. Mars in Sagittarius is comforted in active, adventurous, or high-vision environments. They feel best when they can move with purpose. Home gyms that double as dance studios, hiking paths that start at their front door, or rooftop gardens where they plan their next big step. Their version of comfort involves motion with meaning. Even their relaxation looks like archery, trail walking, or yoga with long views. A tent beneath the stars feels more like home than a locked room with four walls. Jupiter in Sagittarius, in its own sign, seeks expansive sanctuaries. These individuals feel most comfortable in philosophical, ethical, and spiritually infused spaces. Monasteries on mountains, large libraries with global texts, homes with high ceilings and devotional artifacts. They don't care for strict design rules, they care for truth in the air. Their home might have open windows, religious icons from multiple traditions, and a corner for laughter with guests from far away. They rest when their space says, "Wisdom is welcome here." Saturn in Sagittarius tempers this expansiveness with structure. These individuals feel safe in spaces that combine freedom with form. Traditional universities, spiritual retreat centers with scheduled activities, or homes with inspirational quotes paired with a clear calendar. Their comfort zone doesn't stifle exploration, it organizes it. They may decorate with discipline, one global artifact per room, books arranged by philosophy, a journal at the ready. They rest where purpose meets precision. Rahu in Sagittarius craves philosophical intensity or mission-based movement. These people are oddly comforted by spaces of high belief or extreme ideology. Activist campaign rooms, esoteric lecture halls, self-improvement workshops, or journeys into spiritual subcultures. Their home might feel like a vision board exploded. Quotes, symbols, travel bags, half-finished plans. Rest comes through obsession with meaning. A loft with maps, a calendar of travels, and a wall of mantras might feel more soothing than any spa. Ketu in Sagittarius retreats from the need to chase belief. These individuals find comfort in quiet, naturally spiritual spaces without preachiness. Desert monasteries, ruins with no signage, mountain trails with no destination. They feel most held in places that don't ask them to explain anything. Their home might be bare, but full of inner resonance. A photo of a guru, a worn pair of hiking boots, a fire pit, and silence. Their ideal space whispers, "You already know," and so they stay not to learn, but to remember. For Sagittarius, comfort isn't the absence of challenge. It's the presence of openness, vision, and motion. Whether it's a window that shows the sky, a room filled with books that smell of continents, or a sacred fire around which stories are shared, Sagittarius doesn't rest by closing in. It rests by expanding into spaces that let the soul wander freely, laugh honestly, and rise above the walls. Here are some planetary conjunctions in Sagittarius, explored through the lens of what kinds of spaces bring the deepest sense of rest, expansion, and belonging. With Sagittarius, comfort isn't found in small or static corners. It's discovered in open, wise, and horizon-reaching environments that reflect the soul's need to learn, move, teach, or wander. These conjunctions show how that Sagittarian flame finds peace not by dimming itself, but by being given direction, distance, or divinity. Moon Jupiter in Sagittarius. Here, the emotional body is deeply nourished by wisdom, optimism, and meaning. These individuals find rest in expansive, faith-filled, or culturally vibrant environments. Think ashrams in the mountains, sunny libraries with philosophical texts, or communal homes where spiritual debate over dinner is welcome. Their ideal space may be lined with globes, scriptures, windows, and laughter. Comfort comes from emotional spaciousness. They need room to feel, to believe, and to breathe without judgment. Sun Mercury in Sagittarius. Identity and thought are fused through vision. These people are most at ease in bright, expressive learning spaces. Think lecture halls with skylights, writing desks near a horizon view, or classrooms filled with maps and idealism. They are energized and soothed when ideas are shared with purpose. Their home may be scattered with journals, travel notes, annotated books, and calendars filled with talks. They don't rest in silence. They rest in purposeful conversation. Venus-Jupiter in Sagittarius. This is generosity turned aesthetic. These people find comfort in abundant, culturally rich, joy-filled spaces. Large living rooms that double as storytelling salons, kitchens filled with foreign spices and singing, or homes with open porches and prayer flags. They rest in beauty that means something. Colors that tell stories, sculptures with myths, art from journeys. Their ideal space is one where hospitality feels like a sacred act. They're not just soothed by space. They're soothed when that space connects people through shared wonder. Mars, Jupiter in Sagittarius. Action and faith align. These individuals find peace through active engagement in meaningful tasks. They rest best while hiking through a pilgrimage path, setting up tents for a spiritual event, or leading group workshops in nature. Their home may be full of gear, maps, outdoor cooking tools, and guidebooks. Rest doesn't come from stopping. It comes from aiming at something true. A yurt in the forest, a cabin by a cliff, or a bunkhouse on the road to somewhere sacred, that's their sanctuary. Moon, Saturn in Sagittarius. Here, emotional safety requires faith with form. These individuals feel comfort in structured environments where belief, truth, or tradition guide the atmosphere. Think of monasteries with daily routines, classrooms with assigned reading lists, or ancestral homes where rituals are maintained. Their space reflects stability and growth, order and vision. They may keep handwritten prayers on bulletin boards, journals organized by year, and bookshelves divided by worldview. Their peace lies in belonging to a truth that has been earned. Mercury, Rahu in Sagittarius. This mind seeks big truths obsessively. These individuals are strangely soothed in hyper-ideological or belief-focused environments. Think activist think tanks, motivational speaker prep rooms, or crowded bookstores full of spiritual manifestos. Their homes may look like the inside of a movement: posters, slogans, self-help walls, ongoing debates. They don't rest in quiet. They rest in expansive engagement. Their peace lies in meaning under pressure. Venus, Saturn in Sagittarius. Love is devotional. Beauty is wise. These people feel comforted in disciplined sacred spaces, yoga centers with codes of ethics, pilgrimage paths walked in silence, or homes decorated in traditional symbolism. Their space is often pared down but culturally rich: an embroidered wall hanging from India, antique philosophical texts, and clean rugs that double as prayer mats. Their ideal rest space is a well-kept temple of intention, where joy and boundaries coexist in quiet reverence. Sun, Ketu in Sagittarius. Here, identity detaches from needing to preach or perform belief. These individuals feel most at home in open, inward-facing spiritual spaces: desert temples, mountaintop caves, sacred ruins where birds outnumber people. Their home might have a meditation mat and nothing else. A journal with no cover, a shrine with no label. They are comforted by silence that has seen great faith and released it. Their soul rests not in saying what they believe, but in knowing it without words. Mars, Ketu in Sagittarius. This is disciplined detachment in motion. These people rest best in ritualized movement toward inner stillness: long walks through abandoned land, silent martial arts practice, or pilgrimages without destination. Their ideal home might be a one-room flat with a backpack always ready. No clutter, just essentials and space to train. Their nervous system calms when physical exertion burns illusion, and the place reflects that minimal purpose. A fire pit, a hammock, and a horizon. That's enough. Jupiter, Ketu in Sagittarius. Wisdom without ambition. These individuals find peace in non-verbalized sacred presence: a grove where no sermons are needed, a shrine lit by sun, a home with only truth-touched items. They relax in spaces where dogma has evaporated, leaving only essence. Their shelves may be half empty, their clothes plain, their kitchen quiet, but something in the air speaks ancient languages. Their comfort lives in the bones of belief after the words have gone. These Sagittarius conjunctions reveal that rest for this fire sign doesn't come through stillness alone. It comes through motion with meaning, space with spirit, and conversation with insight. Some Sagittarians relax in hammocks under the stars, others in libraries that smell like truth. But all seek one thing: a space feels like the beginning of a journey they actually want to take, where the walls stretch like thoughts, the floor leads somewhere sacred, and the ceiling ideally doesn't exist at all. Moon, Rahu in Sagittarius craves emotional stimulation through expansive belief systems. These individuals often feel comfort in busy spiritual or philosophical environments: international retreats, ideological gatherings, bustling temples, or online spiritual forums. Their home may include books in multiple languages, incense from distant lands, or vision boards that span lifetimes. Comfort comes not from stillness, but from being mentally and emotionally pulled toward something greater, even if they haven't named it yet. Mercury, Ketu, and Sagittarius seek silence and ideas. These people feel most themselves in places where there's room to think, but no demand to speak. Mountain trails, silent monasteries, the quiet back row of a seminar. They don't feel safe in loud debates, but find rest in subtle, deep-thinking environments where they're allowed to absorb and interpret in solitude. Their living space might include half-read spiritual texts, unfinished travel journals, and maps that lead nowhere specific. Mars, Saturn, and Sagittarius needs disciplined adventure. These individuals are comforted by structures that support long-term movement toward growth. Pilgrimage centers with training routines, rigorous spiritual ashrams, or military-style travel bases. Even at home, their comfort may include maps with pins, packing cubes, and a bookshelf organized by worldview. They feel safest in spaces that are purposeful, physical, and aimed at something larger than the self. Venus, Rahu, and Sagittarius romanticizes the unfamiliar. They rest in bohemian terraces, cosmopolitan dining rooms, or rooftops with global music playing in the background. Their space is often filled with luxurious but symbolic decor, Moroccan rugs, Turkish lamps, spiritual artifacts blended with trend. There's comfort in curated eclecticism. Their home is a portal to everywhere they've been or long to be, and they feel calm surrounded by signs of expansive longing. Sun Ketu in Sagittarius rests in anonymity within belief. These individuals feel most at home in empty halls that once held wisdom, abandoned temples, old philosophy classrooms, libraries with no foot traffic. Their home may feature symbols of faith that are private, faded, or even unmarked. Comfort comes from stepping back from identity and into truth, where space itself is the teacher. They do not need to speak of what they believe, just to live in the echo of what was once sacred. Mercury, Saturn, and Sagittarius finds peace through structured discourse. These people are soothed by reading nooks, debate forums with rules, and ethical planning spaces. Their homes may include moral philosophy textbooks, timetables for learning, and discussion prompts on chalkboards. Too much spontaneity makes them anxious. Too much dogma closes them off. They rest in environments where big questions are allowed to unfold with care and precision. Moon, Ketu, and Sagittarius feels safest in stripped-down spiritual solitude. These individuals find peace in prayer huts, dried-out deserts, simple verandas facing open skies. Their emotional body detaches from clamor and finds home in metaphysical silence. They may live surrounded by natural materials, barefoot rituals, and a suitcase that's never fully unpacked. They feel most held in the pause between journeys when the outer adventure turns inward. Jupiter, Rahu, and Sagittarius feeds on intellectual magnitude. These people feel comforted in think tanks, universities with no ceiling to ambition, or esoteric spiritual labs. Their home may resemble a cross between a philosopher's den and a tech startup, filled with manuscripts, foreign tools, and hyper-focused educational projects. They don't rest in peace, they rest in possibility. Their comfort comes when belief feels limitless, and they're surrounded by raw, unfiltered access to higher knowledge. Venus, Ketu, and Sagittarius releases beauty into the unknown. These individuals feel comfort in old temples where the icons have been weathered down, in tea rooms where no one speaks, or in desert gardens that bloom in secret. Their home may include faded fabrics, handmade devotional items, or songs in dead languages. Comfort comes from quiet offerings, from knowing beauty doesn't need to be recognized to be real. Sun, Rahu, and Sagittarius finds rest on grand stages of ideology. These individuals are soothed by lecture halls, press rooms, spiritual platforms, or social media spaces where belief and personality intertwine. Their homes might feature banners from causes, spotlight-style lamps, framed certificates from global events. But they're not just putting on a show, they find peace in purpose. Their relaxation isn't small, it's dramatic, curated, and aimed toward truth that wants to be broadcast.